Recording in progress.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the last day international webinar event of Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mustika Septiana Sari, and I will be the host today. Ladies and gentlemen, Faculty of Economic and Business Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University college annual event for student major in Sharia economic, namely Sharia Economic Festival, or commonly called Sharia EcoFest. With the main theme, the revival of Sharia economic. One of the events that is held in the Sharia Economic Festival is an international webinar. This event presents speakers from various Islamic universities, from various countries, and arranges discussion on how the potential of Islamic economics is COVID-19 economic recovery. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, okay, to maintain order and comfort during the event, the following are attached the rules and technical procedures for the implementation of the event as follows. One, participants has registered with the committee and filled out the participant form. Two, access the Zoom will open 15 minutes before the event starts. Three, please make sure the visual and audio connection on the device used to access the Zoom meeting is well connected. Four, participants are expected to change the Zoom account name with the following format: institute underscore full name. For example, UIN Jakarta underscore Mustika. 5, Participants are expected to be able to activate the camera and use the virtual background that has been provided by the committee during the event. 6. Participants who gain access to Zoom must dress modestly and behave politely during the webinar. 7. When the event has started, participants are expected to turn off the microphone or mute the microphone during the event process unless requested by the MC. 8. Participants are expected not to leave the meeting room. 9. Participants who want to ask questions can raise their hand first and activate the microphone when the MC invites them, or can send their question in the chat room column. Participants are expected to take screenshot of each material presentation as proof of attendance on the attendance link. 11. Participants are prohibited from making noise that causes the event to be unfavorable. 12. Maintain order during the implementation of activities. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's we begin this event. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hamdan wa syukran lillah. Salatan wa salaman ala rasulillah. Habibina wa maulana Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amma ba'du. The Honorable Professor Dr. Is Amalia MAG, Professor of Islamic Economics and Head of Islamic Banking Doctoral Major, FEB, Sharif Hidayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta. ESSC Professor Salman Ahmed Sheikh, Editor and Project Coordinator, Islamic Economic Project Assistant Professor at Shabit University, Pakistan. Ms. Krishna Megasari from Pegadaian, Kramajati. Mr. Insinyur Adiwarman A. Karim, SEMBA, MAEP, Head of Improving the Competitiveness of Islamic Economics. The entire academic community, Faculty of Economic and Business, Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University, and all of the participants, Sharia Economic Festival. Praise and shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lord, who gave us hope. So today we can meet our virtual Zoom meeting in the event Sharia Economic Festival, Faculty of Economic and Business, Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University. Let us give salawat and greetings to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May we become people who can imitate the Sunnah. Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, Faculty of Economic and Business, Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University held large annual event for students major in Sharia Economic, namely Sharia Economic Festival, or commonly called Sharia EcoFest, with the theme, The Revival of Sharia Economic. And today the speakers are Professor Dr. Is Amalia MAG, SSC Professor Salman Ahmed Sheikh from Pakistan, and then Miss Krishna Megasari. And the last speakers today are Insinyur Adiwarman A. Karim, SEMBA, MAEP. Again, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, the term that will be discussed is optimizing the potential of the Islamic economy in post-COVID economic recovery, with the topics of development of Islamic banking in North Africa, the role of Islamic banking toward COVID-19 pandemic, gold investment during COVID-19, and last, a digital economy. All right, participants, To start this event, let's open by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, happy audience. Okay, before we enter the webinar event, we watch the sponsor video together. To the committee, please to air the video sponsor.
Kamu pernah merasa bimbang atau bahkan takut menyampaikan gagasan? Ingin membuat perubahan tapi tidak tahu cara memulainya? Gimana sih memotivasi tim supaya solid? Atau kamu pernah merasa di titik keraguan apakah dirimu layak memimpin atau tidak? Keraguan, ketakutan, dan kebingungan bisa datang kapan saja. Lalu, harus gimana? Cara mencari solusi belum pernah juga dipelajari di sekolah atau kuliah. Saatnya kamu belajar kepemimpinan. Pemimpin.id hadir sebagai tempat untuk mengembangkan kapasitas diri dan belajar kepemimpinan. Menjadi teman untuk mencari solusi, berinovasi, dan berkontribusi. Bersama Pemimpin.id, kita belajar untuk bertumbuh, memompa semangat untuk saling berbagi, dan menebar manfaat dengan saling memberdayakan. Karena kami percaya, semua orang adalah pemimpin. Indonesia membutuhkan lebih banyak pemimpin baik seperti kamu. Yuk, belajar bersama Pemimpin.id. Temukan kami di platform media sosial favoritmu.
Dengan kemajuan teknologi saat ini, berbagai kebutuhan manusia dapat terpenuhi secara efektif dan efisien. Aplikasi smartphone menjadi hal yang tidak terlepas dalam kehidupan sehari-hari kamu. BBO hadir untuk memenuhi berbagai aspek kebutuhanmu. Ada apa saja di dalam BBO? BBO Events, cocok untuk kamu yang gak mau ketinggalan tentang event terbaru. BBO Jobs, cocok untuk kamu yang mencari pekerjaan. Kalau kamu yang suka belanja dan cari makan, semuanya ada di toko BBO dan BBO To Go. Semua ini bisa kamu bayar menggunakan BBO Pay, termasuk tagihan pulsa, internet, listrik, dan lainnya. Semuanya ada di BBO. Download sekarang.
Ketika kita ingin yang terbaik, hati dan pikiran kita malah dibuat jungkir balik. Ketika menginginkan ibadah dan finansial bisa selaras, mereka bilang gak akan bisa pas. Ketika ingin bebas dari riba, gak mungkin bisa lepas penuhnya. Bahkan jauh lebih riba katanya. Gak doyan bunga dibilang gak realistis. Punya rekening bank syariah dianggap gak praktis. Malahan bisa-bisa menghambat flow bisnis. Tapi apa kita akan berhenti dan menyerah gitu aja? Kita bisa pilih untuk maju terus, tetapkan ikhtiar di jalan yang lurus. Kini ketenangan bermuamalah ada di depan mata. Ibadah dan finansial kini jalan beriringan, dan kesempatan meraih keberkahan dalam bertransaksi ada di genggaman. Hijrah Bank, tanpa riba, tanpa ribet.
Penciptaan kesejahteraan bagi seluruh rakyat Indonesia adalah cita-cita kemerdekaan dan amanat perjuangan pendiri negeri. Namun setelah lebih dari 7 dekade merdeka, bebas dari kemiskinan dan keterbelakangan masih menjadi mimpi bagi puluhan juta rakyat negeri ini. Akar kemiskinan sejatinya bukanlah pada lemahnya si miskin, namun lebih pada struktur ekonomi dan politik yang tidak berpihak kepada si miskin. IDEAS, Institute for Demography and Poverty Studies, berdiri pada 2016 di bawah naungan Yayasan Dompet Duafa untuk berkhidmat pada kepentingan masyarakat Indonesia, khususnya masyarakat miskin dan marginal, dengan melakukan analisis kritis terhadap pembangunan dan kebijakan publik berbasis keindonesiaan dan keislaman. Analisis IDEAS berpijak pada keyakinan bahwa isu kemiskinan tidak dapat diselesaikan hanya dengan pendekatan individual, namun juga harus dengan pendekatan struktural. Dengan perspektif demikian, maka bidang kajian IDEAS terentang dari kemiskinan dan kesenjangan, kesehatan dan pendidikan, pembangunan pertanian dan pedesaan, perencanaan kota dan lingkungan hidup, keuangan negara dan kebijakan makroekonomi. Analisis IDS dipublikasikan dalam 6 seri kajian utama, yaitu Indonesia Poverty and Inequality Report, Agriculture and Rural Development Report, Urban and Sustainable Development Report, Indonesia Pro-Poor Budget Review, Indonesia Economic and Social Development Review, Islam Society and Social Change Review. Hanya dengan dialektika yang bervisi, kita dapat berharap masa depan yang lebih cerah untuk setiap anak negeri. Hanya dengan dialektika tanpa henti, kita dapat berharap penanggulangan kemiskinan menjadi arus utama kebijakan pembangunan negeri. IDS, Institute for Demography and Poverty Studies, menuju keadilan sosial bagi seluruh rakyat Indonesia.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the sponsors video. We would like to thank to the sponsor video and video partner. They are Pegadaian, BBO, Ines, Bank Mega Syariah, Dompet Duafa, ACT, Bank BTN Syariah, Inisiatif Zakat Indonesia, BMT Hidayatullah, Hijrah Bank, dan IDEAS. And thanks to media partner today, they are HMPS Perbankan Syariah, Event Jakarta, Event Nasional, Infokopedia, Info Lomba, Kampus Update, Acara Kampus, and Enjoy Tasik. Okay, happy participants. Before the series of event we give to the moderators, let's first take a picture together. Please turn on your camera and still turn off the sound. Please, the committee.
Oke.
MC, you still
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay. Right now, we listen together from Ines will be presentation. Please.
Baik, terima kasih Kakak yang sudah mempersilahkan saya untuk pemaparan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam hormat untuk pemateri yang sangat luar biasa pada siang hari ini dengan tema Optimizing the Potential of the Islamic Economy in Post-COVID Economy Recovery. Pertama-tama, izinkan saya untuk memperkenalkan diri. Perkenalkan, nama saya Novi, saya selaku perwakilan dari PT Kosmetik Tama Superindah atau sering disebut dengan Ines Kosmetik. Di sini izinkan saya untuk memaparkan apa itu Ines Kosmetik. Ines Kosmetik adalah salah satu brand kecantikan lokal yang 100% diproduksi di Indonesia, tepatnya di Jawa Timur 1998 silam. Dibantu oleh pakarnya kecantikan dari Belgia yaitu Mr. Robert Hans yang sudah berpengalaman 44 tahun di dunia kecantikan benua Eropa, sehingga Ines eksis 23 tahun di Indonesia dengan ratusan item produk Ines Kosmetik yang sudah didistribusikan ke seluruh Indonesia. Untuk Ines Kosmetik sudah mengantongi sertifikat halal serta BPOM dengan misi mempercantik wanita Indonesia dengan kulit yang sehat dan ideal, sehingga bisa bersinergi positif ke sekelilingnya. Dan saya juga perwakilan Ines mengajak teman pembelajar agar selalu care terhadap kondisi kulit, apalagi dalam kondisi pandemi seperti ini. Untuk produk Ines meliputi make up, salah satunya bisa dilihat dari tayangan video tadi, kita ada volumizer eyebrow mascara, di mana volumizer eyebrow mascara yang sudah mengandung vitamin A, E, dan sunflower oil, untuk mempercantik alis teman-teman semua secara praktis, khusus digunakan oleh partisipan wanita. Dan kita juga ada yang namanya body care, kita ada juga namanya skin care, perawatan mingguan bisa dilihat dari tayangan video tadi, kita ada clay masker dan peel off masker yang sudah mengandung film cutting dan oil absorber untuk mengencangkan kulit dan mengangkat kotoran terdalam di pori-pori. Bagus sekali untuk perawatan mingguan yang bisa dipakai oleh kalangan jendera. Sudah pasti untuk webinar yang sangat luar biasa ini, kami memberikan voucher Ines Kosmetik, di mana voucher bisa di-screenshot oleh seluruh partisipan untuk pembelanjaan secara jalur pribadi. Dan Ines juga bisa dilihat di e-commerce kami, yaitu JJID, Lazada, Shopee, dan e-commerce lainnya. Bahkan bisa di-download di aplikasi kita melalui Play Store My Ines. Dan jangan lupa follow IG, Facebook, TikTok, dan YouTube-nya @Ines Kosmetik, karena banyak sekali produk yang di-launching di 2021 ini. Untuk webinar ini juga, saya minta izin kepada panitia, saya akan memberikan nomor saya melalui kolom chat. Barangkali ada teman pembelajar ingin berkonsultasi secara gratis, mencari make up yang tepat atau perawatan kulit yang tepat, tentunya dengan Ines Kosmetik bisa melalui jalur pribadi. Nah, demikian seputar Ines Kosmetik, semoga bermanfaat. Lebih dan kurang saya mohon maaf, saya tutup. Wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your presentation today. Okay, let's participants. Please to take screenshot of each material presentation as proof of attendance on the attendance link. Okay, once more, I remember all of you, all of the participants, please to take screenshot of each material presentation as proof of attendance link. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Sharia EcoFirst webinar international discussion event today will be guided by Miss Rahmawati PhD as a moderator. Hello, Assalamualaikum Miss Rahmawati PhD. Hello.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Miss Rahmawati PhD, she is as moderator today. I would like to introduce Miss Rahmawati first. Okay, her name is Rahmawati PhD. Her last education was the PhD Accounting Department of Economic and Management, International Islamic University Malaysia, or IIUM in 2021. Okay. fresh graduate. Yes, Mrs. The training she gave to students is quite a lot. I will mention one of them. Is in 2014 in SEM workshop at the Faculty of Economic and Business of Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University. She currently teaches Sharia accounting at the Accounting Department Faculty of Economic and Business of Sharia Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University. The last research she did was the role internal audit and board quality to financial reporting quality in Islamic banking LEMLIT of Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University. It's on 2015. She is tax consultant secretary of internal auditor of Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic State University in 2019 until 2020. Okay, for all participants, please don't forget, I want to remember you again to take screenshot of each material presentation as a proof of attendance on the attendance link. And please participants, to fill in the person's link in the chat column, check the link periodically. Okay, next webinar session that will be guided by Ms. Rahmawati PhD as a moderator. Ms. Rahmawati PhD, time's yours.
Okay, thank you, Mustika. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. To all participants, welcome to all speakers. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Rahmawati. It is pleasure to be a moderator for International Webinar Session, Sharia Economic Festival 2020 by Student Executive Board Sharia Economic, with support with Sharia Economic Department, Faculty of Economic and Business Sharif Hidayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta. Today, this is third day for the webinar, international webinar for this evening. It is allowed by 4 speakers, which are Professor Dr. Ewis Amelia from Indonesia. Second, Associate Professor Salman Sheikh from Pakistan. Third, Mrs. Krishna Megasari from Indonesia. And the last, Insinyur Adi Warman Karim from Indonesia. First of all, may I briefly introduce to you our guest speaker, Professor Dr. Ewis Amelia. She used as head of doctoral program Islamic Banking from Faculty of Economic and Business Sharif Hidayatullah Jakarta. She is graduated from doctoral from Sharia Hidayatullah Jakarta. Her publication focused on the Islamic microfinance and Islamic banking. Some of her significant publications include paper and books. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Prof. Ewis Amelia. Please, time is your Prof.
Okay, thank you moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Honorable leaders of the Faculty of Economics and Business UIN Sharif Hidayatullah Jakarta, all professors and lecturers, and all the great speakers and all participants who attend international webinar today. And also appreciation to the committee, the Islamic Economic Student Association of Faculty of Economy has made the event, and thanks also to moderator who have given me the time and opportunity to discuss the issues today. First of all, praise be to Allah who always give us grace and mercy, and also may salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with his birthday today. Hopefully we can follow his guidance and continue his schedule in implementing Sharia values in all aspects of life. All participants, speakers, and all students. On this occasion, allow me to convey the theme related to building the Islamic economic ecosystem in the context of strengthening the halal industry in Indonesia. And allow me to share my screen with myself. Okay. 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 All participants, as we know that Islamic economics in the context of the system has developed in the form of Islamic banking, which is followed by Islamic non-bank financial institution and Islamic social finance institution, and also halal businesses. However, the problem that currently there is no integration between Islamic economic system. For example, Islamic bank have not convergence of the financing aspect to the halal industry. Islamic bank have not yet prioritized the halal industry. Likewise, the halal industry still think the Islamic banking are expensive and not yet competitive, so that they still use conventional banks to access business finance. I will start, before I will elaborate that issue in the first, I will start with an overview that Islamic economics come from Sharia. I will Sharia an overview. Islam as a complete code of life and encompasses every aspect of human life. It provides directive as how to economic and financial activities should operate based on moral and not just the economic system. The source of Islamic morality systems come from Sharia. Islam consists of Aqidah, Sharia, and Akhlaq or morals. Sharia consists of worship and muamalat, and economic activities, other economic activities, banking and financial activities related to the economy are part of muamalah. This is the position of Islamic economic within the framework of Sharia. The essence of Sharia is maqasid Sharia. This is the concept of maqasid Sharia. The essence of Sharia is maqasid, and maqasid is achievement of maslahah. There are 5 indicators of maslahah concept, namely how we can protect of faith or protect of religion, protect of life, protect of lineage, protect of intellect, protect of property. This is the indicator of maslahah, and maslahah is the goals of maqasid Sharia or Sharia values. The goal of Sharia is the realization of material and non-material welfare, peace in the world and the hereafter, and prosperity for all. We also often refer to it as well-being. We call well-being, sometimes we call maslahah with well-being concept. Concept of well-being of an individual or group of individuals have several components and has been expressed in various ways. The objective definition of well-being, such as standard of living or level of living and quality of life. This is the well-being, and well-being is maslahah as illustrated of this article of this paper. Part of the effort to realize well-being for all is that halal aspect. And we should imply halal aspect must be an option, not just alternative, but halal must be an option if all our life activities. For this reason, it's very important for us to understand the halal concept and effort to build the halal ecosystem. Halal is a Quranic term that means permissible and lawful. Halal not just food. halal. According to Sharia, all issues concerning halal or non-halal should be referred to Quran and Sunnah. Halal includes food, all good services, entertainment, finance, and all aspects of human life that come under judgment of halal and haram. And this is the term of halal economy or Islamic economic system. So we can say halal not just food, but halal in the transaction. In Islamic economics transaction, halal based on tawhid, and halal using a profit and loss sharing system, abolition of riba, gharar, and maisir, and other prohibition transaction. And in the term of Islamic economy should be implementation of zakah or wealth tax, and using a Sharia financing mechanism. And the goal of Islamic economic system, how they implement and how to realize distributive equity for the society. This is the principles and concept of halal food. Food has to be halal, permissible, and tayyiban, halal and tayyiban. All food are halal except a few mentioned in the Quran. Halal is not poisonous, not intoxicating, and non-hazardous to health. The basic reason for the prohibition of this are impurity and harmfulness. What is permitted is sufficient, and what is prohibited is unnecessary. Doubtful thing or subhat should be avoided. This is non-halal food from the Quran. Alcohol, the animals and carrion, pork and its byproduct, blood and its byproduct, carnivores, animal and birds of prey, animal improperly slaughters, animal kills in the name of anyone other than Allah. And halal concept is a holistic. We implement halal logistic and halal supply chain management. Halal supply management, change management is with the objective to extend the halal integrity from source to the point of consumer purchase. Halal logistic, the process of managing the procurement, movement, storage, and handling of material, part, livestock, and finished or semi-finished inventory, both food and non-food, through the organization and the supply chain in the compliance with the general principles of Sharia law. So halal supply chains management from the raw materials until distribution, manufacturing, until customer purchase. And we need halal product certification because halal certification is need to get the competitive advantage in the national or international. Halal certificate in the context of halal food, halal tourism, halal modest fashion, halal cosmetic, like Ines, halal pharmaceutical, halal Islamic finance. It includes full or good services, entertainment, finance, and all aspects of human life. And halal industry is the source of Indonesia's new economic growth. Key success factors: full government support, declared as a national program, the establishment of a special agency for cross-authority coordination, focus on countries' competitive advantage. The national strategy includes both government structural reform and community paradigm. Four main factors driving the global halal industry: high Muslim population growth, high diverse Islamic economic growth, OIC countries focus on developing halal product market, and Islamic ethical values that underpin healthier business practices and lifestyles. And Indonesia have a vision to become central of halal and economy, Sharia economy in the world. Thailand have a vision to be a world halal kitchen. Great Britain, London as a center for Islamic finance in Europe. UAE, Dubai as Sharia economic capital. Saudi Arabia, World Islamic Center. Brazil, the largest supplier of halal poultry meat to the Middle East. China, the highest export of Muslim clothes to the Middle East. South Korea, Japan, halal industry as a key contributor in 2020. Malaysia, have a vision to become the global center for halal industry. Australia, the largest halal beef supplier to the Middle East, and Indonesia have a vision to become a center of halal in the world, economic and halal in the world. And now we should building the integrated system between Islamic finance, Islamic social finance, and halal industry. We call this should be integrated between the unit of Sharia. How Sharia commercial finance give the prioritize of halal industry, and social finance give assist and financing for micro and ultra micro, and halal industry using halal assurance in the term of production, distribution, sales, and marketing, and also halal supply chains and halal logistics. This is need to integrate one to each other. With integrated, we can have a competitive advantage to enter the global market demand, and also a domestic market. And besides the integrate between halal finance in this term, Sharia commercial finance, Sharia social finance, and halal industry, we need support ecosystem infrastructure between human capital, how to research development, regulation, branding, digital technology, and awareness the customer, and how consumers protection. This is needs to building halal integrated system to competitive advantage into the global market. Why is a global market? Halal global market, the global Muslim traveler expenditure is projected to reach 220 billion US dollar in 2020. Here are some main trends that markets should know about the halal travel sector to stay ahead of the curve. The firm's Global Business Policy Council state, which conducted the analysis, found that spending on halal product and services is set to almost double globally by 2023. And demand for halal has increased in non-Muslim countries with the intent of responding to the halal demand of the Muslim, bridging their culture to places they visit, stressing that the migration has also spread the popularity of Islam in this regard. The global halal market, which has current volume of over 4 trillion US dollar and grows every year, is expected to reach more than 7 trillion US dollar in 3 years. This is the challenge in the global halal food market by region. We can see by this slide, North America and Europe is the most global halal. And this is benefit of halal certification. Halal certification enhance your export to Muslim countries with easy. And benefit of halal certification give the competitors by enter into new markets, showcase your institution capabilities, and engage in high-value partnership and secure lucrative business deals. And halal certification avoid losing Muslim consumers. Grow your company brand as an international value proposition in global halal industry. And halal certification, halal certified product enable your company to charge reasonable premiums. And alhamdulillah, in Indonesia, we have a regulation of concerning halal product guarantee or halal product assurance. We have law number 33 of 2014 and valid from 17 October 2019. And revision this law to law of 11/2020 concerning job creation. Many aspects of previous regulation of halal assurance revised in this law. and government regulation, and completed this law with government regulation of Republic of Indonesia number 39 of 2020 concerning the implementation of the halal product assurance sector. Halal assurance today in Indonesia is supervision and issuance of halal certification from government, BPJPH, Badan Penjaminan Produk Halal, Badan penyelenggara jaminan produk halal, and collaboration with MUI, Majelis Ulama Indonesia, Indonesian Ulama Board, produce of fatwa on halal product. This is collaborate between government and ulama to halal product assurance, and how the process halal assurance. This is a businessman, LPH, Islamic institution, halal supervisory, and also today mandatory, not just for corporation, but for SME, small and medium enterprises, should have a halal certification product by self-declare. How is self-declare? Self-declare for SME should be fulfill the standard from BPJPH. And this is the challenge of BPJPH designed to the standard of halal certification for SME, as we call self-declare. And also the university should be participate in the halal center of halal center and human resources laboratory, and should be developed curriculum of halal science. This is need to participate all stakeholders to implement the halal assurance in Indonesia. And this is the examples of small and medium enterprises in terms of halal context. Food, cosmetic, and meat, and others products come from small and medium enterprises. And as we know, small and medium enterprises in Indonesia is dominant in the business. More than 39.70% business in Indonesia is micro and small and micro, and give the big contribution and have a contribution of Indonesia GDP. But unfortunately, data from LPP POM MUI show that from a number of products, there are still few business have halal certification, This certification is very important to be able to enter the segment and portion of the halal industry at the global level. Moreover, the COVID-19 challenge and the important issue to recover the small and medium enterprises sector in growing community productive to be able to develop halal product. This is the challenge of COVID-19 to the recovery of the halal industry come from small and medium enterprises. And this is the challenge with the impact of COVID-19. Poverty level has decreased increased more than 90%. And the existence of restriction the population mobility so that unemployment reached 7% today, unemployment level. And also inequality in Indonesia, the Gini ratio inequality in Indonesia tends to be high, but continues to decline over more last 5 years until it reached 0.39 today. The distribution of population expenditure is still dominated by the top 20% of expenditure group. Population by group income is dominated by group. This is the inequality. And the other challenge we facing the industry 4.0 and society 5.0, the era of technology disruption. The role of human is replaced by machine or robot, or we call artificial intelligence. 25 until 325 million global labor changing professions job replacement with artificial intelligence. 1.8 million job replaced artificial intelligence, change from the human. And technology will give birth to various professions that currently do not exist. Indonesia needs to improve the quality of workforce skill with digital technology. We should be changed from physical space to cyberspace, and developing challenge in developing human resources in Indonesia. We are facing undergraduate unemployment, not just from diploma or senior high school, but from bachelor and post and undergraduate unemployment. And another challenge is we facing the sustainable development goals. How we can no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, good quality education, gender equality. This is the target of sustainable development goals, and how the industry, halal industry, should enhance to the improve the sustainable development goals target. And we need, because we have industrial revolution of industry 4.0, we need to strategic alliances between Islamic finance, Islamic microfinance with fintech for strengthening halal industry. We can transfer money through fintech application. We call crowdfunding, source of fund with crowdfunding, P2P lending with the platform digital. We using Wakalah with the platform, and we can collaborate with Islamic microfinance to financing all of business come from small and medium enterprises like food, property, manufacture, and business retail, and etc. This is need using a Sharia contract mechanism. Alliances, strategic alliances between halal industry and fintech and Islamic microfinance. This is, and to integrate halal economy, one aspect is the most challenge about regulation and policies and services and IT. This is the big challenge to implement or to build the integration of halal industry or halal economic in Indonesia. So that's why we should need synergy and collaboration, or ukhuwah or jamaah, to build the halal integrated system for well-being for all. This is my presentation, and we can discuss more after this. Thank you, and we return back to moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. It's very interesting talk, yeah, because you emphasize very important things in how to develop Islamic economics nowadays. So one of the I think is very important that we should know that you mentioned about the emphasis of integrated halal economy between Sharia commercial finance, Sharia social finance, and halal industry. This is very something new, I think, that you need to explore more, because I think the research about this is not rare, is rare, yeah. And then you emphasize also about develop how to face the industry of 4.0 and the society of 5.0 by enhance the human's resource, and then how to enhance the strategic alliances. So it's a big idea, I think, in this discussion. So now, if anyone has any question, you could raise your hand or you write on the chat box. So I think I saw somebody raise his hand. Jaka, I don't know, still, or okay? Any question? Okay. Kadarisman. Okay. Brother Kadarisman from UIN Jakarta. Please, you want to ask question?
Maybe moderator rate.
Okay, wait.
Possibility the synergy of zakah, wakaf, and halal industry.
Yeah, okay, wait.
Maybe I directly.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Because I don't see that. Okay.
Okay, I see. Yeah. It's important. I think this is important question. How, of course, we can synergize between Islamic social finance like zakat and wakaf, especially to facilitate and access to small and medium enterprises. Because small and medium enterprises from the zakat and wakaf collaborate with Islamic microfinance, give the financing to small and medium enterprises, or halal industries come from small and medium enterprises, and also halal creative, and also give the financing for halal creative, and also from the zakah fund, we can help to small and medium enterprises to be self-declare certification, because to assess the certification from the BPJPH needs payment. It's maybe it's high cost, but zakat institution can help the small and medium enterprises for payment of halal certification, and also give the financing of small and medium enterprises to grow up their business.
Okay.
Jadi it's of course should be case between Islamic social finance, Islamic microfinance, and halal industries.
So you means that a strategic alliance between the social finance to support for micro, small, medium enterprise.
Yes.
So it has the quality of the how the micro and small, medium enterprise in their activity. You mean like that, Prof?
Yeah, and also for the certification of halal.
Okay.
Because today regulation emphasize the small and medium enterprises should be have a halal certification with self-declare. But self-declare, not just they this is my product halal, but should be fulfill the standard come from the BPJPH.
Okay. Okay. Another questions. You could ask Prof. I think one from Kadarisman, from Win, another from anyone want to ask the Prof. Something big, yeah, Prof. Yeah. So we need explore more, yeah. In how to enhance the economic growth in Indonesia, that not fast focus to Islamic banking, yeah, Prof.
Should be alignment between Islamic finance, banking, and non-financial institution, zakah and wakaf institution, and halal industries.
Okay. Okay. Another, okay. Anyone? This from RMS. How let we rethinking zakah for Islamization? As we know that zakah for 8 asnaf, so if the zakah used for MKM and halal industries, where is the substantial of the zakah?
Yes, zakah zakah for 8 asnaf and micro and small categorized from fakir and miskin and du'afa, yeah. We use the zakah fund, but for medium and large we no need to use the zakah fund, but we using the business fund. Yeah, different segment. Yeah, this is thinking. Yeah, too productive. Yeah, we yes.
You already explained in your like you explained for medium expert. I think you the last presentation
Yes, pyramid.
Yeah, pyramid. You explained about that. How to which one is for the
This is
yeah.
Yes, pyramid. Sharia commercial finance give financing for medium enterprises and corporation, but social and small enterprises also. But Sharia social finance give the micro enterprises and also ultra micro or mustahik that categorized from the mustahik. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and from Wakaf Fund, we can collaborate between Nazir and Sharia Bank. We call LKSPWU. Yes, Bank Sharia Bank collaborate with Nazir to to find the infestation, and the return of that give the social for the social activities, like for mustahik or microfinance activities. Not directly, but zakat institution collaborate with bank for investment, and the return for the investment give for assist or give the financing for small and medium enterprises.
Okay, Prof. This is another question, Prof.
Yeah.
From Endah Meria. What
Yes.
do you think about Thailand that has sophisticated and high-tech halal lab that recognized worldwide, but non-Indonesia, that's surely the Muslim majority country?
Yes, today non-Muslim countries improve their activities in terms of halal industry because their target of Muslim consumers. Yeah, Thailand have the Chulalongkorn University, and Chulalongkorn University have a center of halal. This is most activities come from halal center in Chulalongkorn University. So that's why Thailand give more than 10% halal product to the export in the world. And also Korea Selatan, China, and other non-Muslim countries today focus their business to the halal industries. So why the Indonesian? We have the most population, Muslim population, more than 90%. We have Muslim population, but Muslim countries not involved in top 10 halal food in the world. Yeah, not with the Muslim countries like Indonesia. So that's why Indonesia should be enhanced, should be improved their halal industries activities.
Okay, Prof. It means there's still many homeworks for us, right, Prof? Prof, another question: how to make UMKM to be muzaki, usually to be mustahik?
Yes, we can give from the zakah first. We using the Qardul Hasan transaction for the mustahik, and we assist them to grow up their business. And after they have a business, we can give their financing from microfinance with business transaction, with mudorobah or with musyarakah or with murabah. Jadi for the first time for the mustahik, using Qardul Hasan transaction. After they have a good business, we can give a business from the business fund, from the profit fund like mudorobah, musyarakah, and other transaction. Yeah, should be gradual assist them.
Okay, so you mean that from social finance part, the akad of Qardul Hasan we could use to enhance the mustahik
Yes.
life.
Yes. Come from zakah. Use Qardul Hasan, yeah, or Qardul Hasan. But
Recording in progress.
Jazakumullah khairan kasiran. So, we continue to the second speaker. May I briefly introduce to you our guest speaker, Associate Professor Salman Ahmed Sheikh. He is graduated from PhD from National University of Malaysia. Some of his publication on top journal, and he also published several book chapter in book publishing by Routledge, Springer, Palgrave, Edward Elgar. Nowadays, he has worked at consultancy project for Institute Policy Studies, Pakistan and IOFI. His recent books is a reflection on the origin in the post-COVID-19. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Associate Professor Salman Ahmed Sheikh to discuss with us about the strengthening Islamic banking in COVID-19 era. Time is yours, Prof.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we could hear you.
Yes,
Salam, Prof.
Yeah. Can I share screen?
Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, we could see
Yes.
you, Prof.
All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, thank you to the organizers for inviting me to this August forum. And I listened to the earlier presentation. It was very informative. My topic is going to be about how to strengthen Islamic banking in the COVID-19 era. I am speaking from Pakistan. I teach here, and as you have already mentioned, that I did my PhD in economics from UKM, Malaysia. So this is going to be my presentation outline. First of all, I would discuss that what are the specific challenges for Islamic banks to operate in COVID-19 era and beyond. And then I would discuss that what is the response by the Islamic banks to these challenges. And then what is the value addition in the response in Islamic finance, especially with regards to Islamic social finance. And then I would also discuss that COVID-19 started in 2019, and then we saw certain developments, and then we saw economic and financial recovery. So I would also talk about that what is the kind of recovery, what is the extent of the recovery, which sectors have performed well, which sectors are still struggling. And I would discuss all of that with some empirical evidence, which would be suggesting that Islamic finance and Islamic banks in particular are showing stability and are showing signs of recovery, which is a positive thing going forward. And then we can have some question as well. So first of all, I would discuss that what are the specific challenges for Islamic banks in COVID-19 era. The first challenge that comes is that we know that in a lot of Muslim majority countries where Islamic banking is being practiced, the predominant use of the mode of Murabaha Mu'ajjal is there. The predominant mode of financing is Murabaha Mu'ajjal. And the problem in that particular mode of financing is that once you price the asset, you cannot reprice it. You cannot reprice it. So if that is not possible, then what happens is that if, let's say, the client who is provided with asset-backed financing is not able to pay on time, if he or she is not able to pay on time, then we cannot reprice as per the rules of Murabaha Mu'ajjal. So this is one important challenge which Islamic banks face. Conventional banks are easily able to roll over the loans. They are able to reschedule the loans. They can reprice their products. But in Murabaha Mu'ajjal, once the Murabaha price is agreed upon, it cannot be changed just because of rescheduling of cash flows. So if that cannot be done, then Islamic bank would be at a disadvantage as compared to conventional banks. So this was the first challenge which uh, came across for Islamic banks. Another challenge is that if, let's say, we use fixed rate contracts, then there is a rate of return risk. We know that before COVID-19, the interest rates or the benchmark rates were quite high in some countries, as high as 4% or 5%. But when COVID-19 happened, then what happened was that the governments decreased the interest rates. So the benchmark rates got decreased and they went down to as low as 0.5% somewhere, 1% somewhere. So what happens is that if we are using fixed rate contract and the contract is going beyond COVID-19 and which started before COVID-19, so the pricing would be different, and during COVID-19 and after COVID-19, the pricing would be different. So this is rate of return risk in fixed rate contracts, and this is another challenge for Islamic banks. Another challenge is that when financial crisis happens or economic crisis happens, the firms are looking for distress financing. They are not looking for expansion. Not many firms are looking to expand their operations. They are looking to manage their finances. They are looking for distress financing. When it comes to distress financing, we have limited solutions. So if a firm is looking for expansion and needs financing for building infrastructure, we have products, we have solutions. But when it comes to distress financing, where money is required not to buy an asset, but to manage different liabilities, different commitments, different working capital requirements, so there are limited solutions. Likewise, there are limited solutions for working capital finance. So when we talk about money required to pay wages, money required to pay utility bills, money required to pay previous liabilities, there are limited solutions that we have in Islamic finance as compared to the conventional banks. Another important challenge or risk is potential increase in defaults. We know that Islamic banks, by and large, are more stable than conventional banks in many jurisdictions. But when economic crisis happens, when financial crisis happens, then the clients who are being provided with finance by Islamic banks, they have decreased in their ability to repay their debts, their obligations. So if they default, then this can increase the non-performing loans for Islamic banks. Another important challenge is that Islamic banks cannot roll over the debt. They cannot easily roll over or reschedule the debt, and they cannot have compensation for every loss of opportunity cost. Conventional banks can easily say that if they are having an opportunity cost loss, they would be compensating it in the pricing. But in Islamic finance, there are certain contracts in which repricing is not possible, and the Islamic bank cannot claim all the lost opportunity cost. So these are different challenges that we come across for Islamic banks as they are operating in COVID-19 era. Now, if we look at the Islamic economics framework, we see that it's very stable and it's directly linked with the real economy. So before I come to discuss the response to the challenge by Islamic banks, I would like to briefly touch upon this Islamic economics framework. We know that when we talk about the circular flow of economy in the conventional space, we have households, we have firms, we have two markets. One is the resource market, the other is the goods market. In Islamic economics framework, we also have these players. We have households, we have firms, we have government, and we have these two markets, which is the resources market and the goods market. Now, the difference in Islamic economics framework is that here in Islamic economics framework, if, let's say, finance is required to purchase consumer durables, if consumer finance is required, then we have Islamic banks who would be providing asset-backed financing to facilitate purchase of durable goods in the goods market. So households who are not having sufficient purchasing power to purchase expensive durable goods, they can get financing from Islamic banks regarding those products. So Islamic banks are facilitating the sale and purchase in the goods market, and they are facilitating both the firms and the households. They are facilitating firms to increase their revenues, increase their sales, and they are enabling the households to increase their purchasing power so as to be able to purchase the durable goods which they cannot uh, manage to buy with their own sum of money in the cash market or in the spot market. Likewise, in the resources market, we have Islamic banks which provide uh, financing to the firms. These financing is provided through different trade-based contracts and also lease-based contracts. So firms need capital goods from the resources market, and sometimes they do not have enough resources to purchase all the capital goods, all the infrastructure. So Islamic banks are facilitating the surplus units households who have surplus savings. Islamic banks facilitate them to invest in the real economy, and they provide the deposits mobilized to the firms in the form of providing them asset-backed financing using the trade-based and lease-based modes of financing. So in this economic framework, what we see is that there is a very clear link of the Islamic bank with the real economy. It is facilitating the buying and selling of goods in the goods market as well as in the resources market. And it is doing all the other important functions which conventional banks do, which is to minimize the transaction cost, which is to do delegated monitoring on the behalf of surplus units who are putting their deposits in Islamic banks, and they are also providing efficient intermediation services, and they are also discouraging the flow of money just within the money market, just within the financial market. They are putting the money out in the real economy so that economic transactions happen, employment is created, and through the production of more assets, the GDP also increases. Now we come to the specific solution toolbox of Islamic banks to face the challenges of COVID-19 era. First of all, when we talk about working capital finance, it's not true that Islamic banks do not have any solution. They have solutions like Salam and Istisna, in which there is no need for an asset to be involved for the purchase by the client. So in Murabaha and also in Ijara, the client has the need to acquire an asset. Whereas in Salam and Istisna, the client basically becomes the seller and sells the goods that he produces. So by using Salam and Istisna, what can happen is that the liquidity can be generated and it can be used by the client in a flexible way as compared to the mode of Murabaha and Ijara. In Murabaha and Ijara, it is required that you cannot use the funds other than for the purchase of specific assets for which the facility is provided. But in Salam and Istisna, because the client is selling something to the financial institution or the other client in the real economy, the money which is received from the selling of asset can be used flexibly to manage working capital and to manage liabilities and so on. So when it comes to working capital finance, Islamic banks basically have Salam and Istisna product. And also in some jurisdictions, they have a running Musharaka product, which is basically an alternative of running finance. And that also provides the firms an ability to use the funds flexibly without having to necessarily purchase a specific asset. Likewise, when it comes to balance sheet restructuring, balance sheet restructuring means that in a crisis-like situation, you might face this situation that you have a lot of fixed assets which are not being used productively. And what you would like to do is to retain the capacity of production, but changing the nature of your asset from fixed to from fixed to current asset. Like for instance, using sale and lease back. So you have an equipment, you have a building, you want to use it, but you want to liquidate it to generate cash. So what you can use is you can use sale and lease back. Sale and lease back structure is very useful for distress financing and also for balance sheet restructuring. Likewise, Salam and Istisna can also be used for orders. We did not find that when COVID-19 happened, Islamic banks did not get any business. No, they were continuing to get business through different modes like Salam, Istisna, sale, and leaseback. Another important feature is that Islamic banks provide asset-backed financing. Asset-backed financing. So when they provide asset-backed financing, the pricing of assets is also very important. Now, initially, we did see decline in asset prices, especially in the price of commodities when COVID-19 broke out. But there was a quick recovery in the price of commodities, in the price of real estate, in the price of assets which Islamic banks finance. So this did not result in a huge challenge for Islamic banks. Yes, for a few months, we saw that oil prices were on a decline. In fact, some oil future contracts were trading in negative for a brief period, but it did not last long. This recession in commodity pricing did not last long, and there was quick recovery in the price of real estate and commodities. Now, this bodes really well for Islamic banks, because when there is quick recovery in price of commodities which are being used as subject matter in the financing contracts, then Islamic banks are not at a risk. So they know that the asset prices are not decreasing, they are stabilizing, and they are increasing. So even if there is a default case, Islamic banks can quickly foreclose the asset and recover their investment through the liquidation of the asset. Another important feature is that Islamic banks do not have legal requirement to pay a fixed return to their depositors. At least theoretically speaking, they do not have this requirement to match the returns, which is the market required rate of return. They are not necessarily required to pay any fixed rate of return. Yes, for managing the commercial displacement risk, Islamic banks would not like to deviate too much from the market required rate of return, but they do not have any legal obligation as such to pay a fixed rate of return. So what happens is that even if there is, let's say, some trouble in their asset portfolio, some loans are defaulting, some clients are not able to pay on time, they are not obliged to pay a particular rate of return to their depositors. They can pass on the fluctuation in return to the depositors. Yes, they would not like to, for the other reason, which is commercial displacement risk. But at least in theory, they have this feature that they are having pure pass-through of returns without legal risk of need for matching returns. So this is one advantage which Islamic banks have and which conventional banks do not have. And another important feature is that even before COVID-19, there was relatively less non-performing loans in Islamic banks as compared to conventional banks all across the globe. So even if we look at different countries, we find that as against conventional banking, Islamic banks have lower non-performing loans even before COVID-19. And even after COVID-19, this ascendancy or this advantage is retained. The reason is asset-backed financing. The reason is strong credit worthiness check. The reason is that Islamic banks do not have unsecured ways of financing, like, for instance, personal loans or credit cards, where there is no security, no collateral. Even in consumer finance, when Islamic banks would provide financing, there would be some sort of asset involved. Now, if we look at the value-added response via Islamic social finance, we find that Islamic finance had much more to offer as compared to conventional finance or conventional economics. We saw very huge mobilization of charities. We saw huge crowdfunding campaigns. We saw increased mobilization and disbursement of zakat and sadaqah funds, which was unique to Islamic economics, and we did not have anything like that in conventional finance or in conventional economics. And I would particularly highlight the strong role played by Indonesia in innovating Islamic finance, in providing innovative solutions in Islamic finance through work-linked sukuk. So they combined the institution of social finance, which is waqf, with a Islamic capital market instrument, which is sukuk. So this was a very unique product, and Indonesia became the pioneer of that innovative idea, and they have come up with work-linked cash work-linked sukuk. So these are some of the responses that we saw in Islamic social finance, which were quite unique to Islamic economics, and we do not have anything like that in conventional finance or in conventional economics. So if we look at the response of Islamic finance, Islamic commercial banks, as well as Islamic social finance, we saw that Islamic finance had a lot to offer to meet the financial requirements in COVID-19 era. And they were not lagging behind, they were not struggling, they were facing challenges, but they did have enough in the solutions toolbox to come up with alternative ways to facilitate the same need and achieve need fulfillment. Now, if we look at the post-COVID-19 scenario, what we see is that economies are recovering. In 2020, the economies were declining. Many countries reported negative GDP growth. But in 2021, everyone is upbeat. Every economy is recovering. And also we are seeing that asset prices are recovering. So that is very important thing for Islamic banks, because they provide asset-backed financing, and when asset prices decline, then they are having trouble. If you look at the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2009, the crisis got deepened and crisis got severe because of the declining housing prices. So the price of subject matter is also very, very important in banking. So when asset prices are recovering, as we are seeing, Islamic banks are having a very positive outlook, because they provide asset-backed financing, and if asset prices are recovering, asset prices are increasing, and if asset prices are stable, then they do not have anything to worry about in terms of non-performing loans, because the asset prices are not declining, and people would not necessarily default on loans because of lower asset prices. What happened in global financial crisis 2007 to 2009 was that housing prices declined substantially. So even those people who were able to afford mortgages thought that why we should be keep paying installments for an asset whose price has declined by, let's say, 50%. So asset price recovery is very important for financial sector stability. Another important thing is that now we are having increased demand for financing, especially after the government's incentives to real sector encouraging investments, and that will bode really well for financing, because banks basically earn by providing financing, and the demand for financing would come when there are incentives to the firms to basically make investments in the real sector of the economy. Now, what is happening is that governments all over the world are providing monetary policy incentives by keeping the interest rate very low. They are providing fiscal incentives to give tax exemptions and also reducing the tax rates. So all of this is going to increase the investment, and when investment increases, banks get more business, and when they get more business, they are able to provide more financing, then definitely they will be contributing to the real economic growth, as well as ensuring that they are earning enough returns for their shareholders and also for their depositors. If we look at the sukuk market is very active in 2021 as compared to 2020. We are having sukuk issuances in Malaysia, in Indonesia, and also in GCC countries, and also even in Africa. So now the sukuk market is back, and we are seeing a strong recovery. If you look at capital markets, they are showing V-shaped recovery. V-shaped recovery is basically that initially we had a decline after COVID-19 broke out, but then there is a strong recovery as well. So the graph, if we see, of capital market indices looks like a V shape. So we are having a V-shaped recovery, and banking sector is also showing stability. I would like to show this table, which is showing statistics for Islamic banking up to fourth quarter of 2020, and the data is coming from some 15 OIC member countries where Islamic banking is very prominent. So what we see is that Islamic banks are showing stability. Even in the recent data, Islamic banks are showing stability. If you look at capital adequacy ratio, which is very important indicator of solvency, what we see is that in almost every country, in fact, in every country, the ratio is beyond 10%. The ratio is more than 10%, which is the required minimum according to Basel III. So all Islamic banks in all jurisdictions, according to this table, are able to meet not only the minimum solvency requirement in terms of capital adequacy ratio, but some of them are having very high capital adequacy ratio like Bahrain, Bangladesh, Brunei, Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Kazakhstan. They are having close to 20% capital adequacy ratio, which shows that these banks are solvent, these banks are stable, these banks are not facing any crisis. And when we look at their operations, what we see is that gross non-performing financing is very low in Islamic banking. So in none of the country, this ratio is more than 10%. It means that if we are providing 100 loans or 100 financing contracts, not even 4 or 5 of these contracts are having any issue of non-performance. So the ratio is very low. In some countries, it is even less than 2%. In some countries, it is less than 5%. But all in all, what it shows is that Islamic banks are not facing a huge challenge when it comes to non-performing loans and when it comes to solvency. If we look at profitability indicators in almost every country, what we are seeing is that the return on asset is positive, return on equity is positive, except for one country, which is Oman, and they were facing economic problems even before COVID-19 as well. So that is not a surprise, but for every other country, what we are seeing is that all in all, Islamic banks are not having issues when it comes to profitability. Net margin is also very high. Cost to income ratio is also declining in Islamic banking, which is a very positive sign. So what happens is that when there is a new player in the industry, they would start earning revenues from very scratch. So revenues would start from zero, but costs would not start from zero. The fixed cost has to be invested into the business, and that has to be done even before any money is earned in terms of revenue. So initially, the startups, initially the new players in capital intensive businesses would have high cost to income ratio. But now in Islamic banking, what we are seeing is that cost to income ratio is declining, and it is even less than 50% in many of the countries. This table basically shows that Islamic banks are solvent. Islamic banks do not suffer from non-performing loans to a large extent, and they are reasonably profitable. They have high net profit margin, and they are also gaining efficiency in terms of decline in cost to income ratio. So this was about Islamic banking. What about Islamic capital markets? If we look at Islamic capital markets, what we see is that there is a strong recovery after COVID-19. So when COVID-19 broke out, definitely there was a very swift decline. You can see that the V-shaped recovery can be exhibited. There was a very swift decline initially in, let's say, periods of March 2020, April 2020, and May 2020. So during these 3 months, the capital market indices declined in almost every jurisdiction. If we take globally, if we take any region like ASEAN or South Asia or GCC, we saw this decline during these 3 months, March 2020 to May 2020. But after that, the recovery is not only very swift, it is stable and it is consistent. So after the decline, what we are seeing is that the graph is just showing increase and increase. And that is true not only for a particular region, but for developed markets, as well as GCC markets, as well as BRIC countries, which include Brazil, Russia, India and China. So in emerging markets, in developed markets, in Europe, in S&P 500, what we are seeing is that the recovery is consistent, is stable, is swift, and we have already gone beyond the levels which we reached in pre-COVID-19 era. So in pre-COVID-19 era, the index level was much lower than what it is today. So the recovery is fast, recovery is swift, recovery is consistent, and it has pretty much neutralized the negative effects of COVID-19. If we look at, for instance, specific countries, let's say in GCC region, like for instance, Kuwait, Oman, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. Again, what we see is that there was a swift decline 20 to May 2020, but then the recovery happened, and the recovery is quite swift. Other than in some countries, like for instance, Oman, which is still struggling economically due to other reasons as well. And it's not just Islamic banking which is having trouble there. And in Bahrain as well, we see that the recovery is there, but it's not as prominent or swift as compared to, let's say, Kuwait, as compared to UAE, as compared to Qatar. But all in all, we are seeing recovery in Islamic capital markets. If we look at specific sectoral indices like property indices and energy indices, infrastructure indices, health industry, as well as materials industry, energy sector. These sectors are very important for Islamic banking, because Islamic banking is basically focused on asset-backed financing, and these real sector of the economy, especially energy and infrastructure, these are very important, you can say, source of business for Islamic banks. So here we are seeing that the capital markets are showing recovery. And what it implies is that if, let's say, these indices are showing positive performance, what it indicates is that the firms which are making up these indices are having high expected profitability. And these firms are basically the main target market for Islamic banks. So if these firms have high expected profitability, Islamic banks are also expected to benefit from their growth, benefit from their high expected profitability, to get more business as well as earn revenues through asset-backed financing, which would facilitate their shareholders as well as depositors. If we look at the Sukuk market, we see that Sukuk market was more stable as compared to, let's say, stock market, and which is quite sensible, which is quite understandable, because Sukuk is a product which comes in fixed income, whereas when we talk about stocks, it comes in equity space. And we saw that historically there is high return on stocks as compared to fixed income securities. There is a risk premium involved, and due to which we see that in fixed income securities, we do not see much volatility. Yes, there was decline when there was crisis in March 2020 to May 2020 period, but it was not as drastic as compared to the stock market. And the recovery was also quite stable, quite consistent, and we see that there is much less volatility. And if you look at the graph, if we would be putting a long-term trend line, the long-term trend line is going to be upward sloping, and which shows that yes, there was a blip, there was a brief period when there was correction in the market, but all in all, we did not see much decline in Sukuk market, and now the market is stabilizing. And now we see that even countries from Africa, even countries from South Asia, even countries from GCC are coming into the Sukuk market. And Malaysia and Indonesia are already the pioneers. They are already leading the market. We are seeing that Indonesia is coming up with innovative Sukuk like cash work-based linked Sukuk, which is very innovative and which is very conducive in terms of leveraging both social finance as well as commercial finance to mobilize funds for social impact investments as well. So I would stop here. If you have any questions, we can take the questions and we can discuss further.
Thank you very much for the interesting sharing, Doctor. Now, if anyone has any question, but I see here in chat box from Iyas from Makassar, Prof. Iyas is from stay in another island, Prof. Yeah, we are in Java Island. He live in Sulawesi Island. So far from us now. Okay. Assalamualaikum. My name is Iyas from Foses Timbunya Makassar. May I ask to Mr. Salman Ahmed? My question is, how can the Salam and Istisna contract reach the micro and micro, small, and medium enterprise community, and how it your area with Islamic finance can you withstand the challenge of COVID-19, especially in the lower middle class? Thank you for your presentation. Inshallah, make you always health and success for improvement of Islamic economics. That's a question, Doctor.
Yes, very good question. And it's a concern that we all have, which is that is Islamic finance or Islamic banking reaching everyone? Is it for everyone? When it comes to deposits, we say that it is for everyone. Even if you have a small amount of money, you can put your money into a deposit account, and we can show that Islamic banking is for everyone. But when it comes to finance, Islamic banking is not reaching each and everyone. So when it comes to deposit mobilization, it is reaching each and everyone. It is taking deposits from even the poor people. But when it comes to financing, not many individuals, micro enterprises, and small and medium enterprises are able to get financing from Islamic banks. If I show statistics, round about 75% of the financing goes to the large corporations, and only the remaining 25% is distributed among the consumers. About 12 to 15% goes to the consumers, and those consumers are also basically living in urban areas. They are professionals, they are executives, and they have enough funds to basically buy durable consumer goods, like, for instance, cars or consumer electronics and so on. Only 10% is then remaining for Islamic microfinance, for SME finance, for agriculture finance. Now, when it comes to Salam, it's a very conducive product for agriculture finance. In fact, when we talk about the literature, most of the examples for the use of Salam is concerning agriculture. And in agriculture, what happens is that you have to, first of all, grow the crop, and then you can sell it. So Salam facilitates in a way that it allows you as a farmer to sell your crop, which is not existing, and you can get the money right away. You can get it at spot. The payment has to be at spot in the Salam contract. So this way, farmer is able to get the cash and manage the working capital, manage the requirement of funds to grow the crops. And then when the crops are grown, by the delivery date, it can provide delivery to the Islamic bank. So Salam is a very important contract, but what we are seeing is that we are using these contracts not productively as much as is required, as much as is expected in agriculture finance. Salam is now being used in currency market. We have currency Salam. So Salam has to be used more in sectors like agriculture, where you have small farmers, you have micro enterprises, and they really need finance. They cannot access capital markets, definitely. They cannot access capital markets. So what they are banking on is Islamic microfinance or Islamic banks. And in the regions where Islamic microfinance is still not quite substantive, Islamic banks have to step in, and they have to provide Salam for agriculture. If we look at the actual performance, yes, there is much more that can be done. But in terms of potential, Salam product can be used for agriculture finance. Likewise, Istisna can be used to provide financing to artisans, to farmers, or to manufacturers who provide manufactured goods. So for instance, if someone is into making furnitures, someone is into making products that have to be, first of all, manufactured, and then they can be provided to the client in the market. So in such products, Istisna contract can be used. So solutions are there, products are there. The need is that Islamic banks have to show greater will and greater urgency to basically target broader clients, especially in the financing side. So when we talk about financial inclusion, we basically think about facilitating poor people to open bank account in Islamic bank. Now, that is facilitated because here the money is coming in. So when the money is coming in, you are happy and you are getting from everyone. But when poor people come to get money from banks, then banks do not facilitate each and everyone. So yes, much more needs to be done. But in terms of potential, the potential is there, the solution is there. We need to use it more, you can say, productively and expensively to create greater impact.
Okay, Doctor. So you mean that Salam could be used to solve the problem of the financing for the lower class, such as a farmer? You mean like that, Prof? Okay. The second, we continue to another question from Muniati Aisyah. He asked, Murabaha dominates Islamic banks in Indonesia compared to Musyarakah Mudharabah because of the low risk. How about in Pakistan or Iraq? What is the main factor that could decrease the high risk in the Musyarakah and Mudharabah or other real sector financing, especially during today COVID-19 economic turmoil?
Yes, very good question. This is one concern that we see in literature, that we talk a lot about equity-based mode of financing, but we only talk about them. We do not practice them as such, especially in the financing side operations. We use Mudaraba in deposit mobilization, but not in asset side operation, not in providing financing. Now, the professor who has asked this question has very rightly said that the reason is risk. The reason is risk. So Islamic banks basically serve risk averse depositors, and these depositors give more priority to the safety of capital as compared to the returns. Because if they were really return seeking, if they were risk neutral, then they would go to the capital market, they would go to the mutual fund, they would go to the currency market, and they would not be coming to bank for getting higher returns. So safety of capital is important to them, and then profit is a secondary thing for them. So what Islamic banks do is that they are managing deposits on their behalf. So what they try to do is they try to use those modes of financing which can provide them stable returns. Like for instance, rents in lease-based financing, or profit in Mudaha-based financing, where the price is agreed upon even before the Islamic bank purchases the asset. Now, in Pakistan, what is happening is that Murabaha was used predominantly, but after 2014 and 15, we came up with a new product which was running Musharaka. And the idea was that what you can do is you can minimize the risk by deciding to share profit not at the net profit level, but let's say at a operating profit level or at a gross profit level. So what they came up with was that let's agree to the heads in cost accounts, which would be shared between bank and the client. So not every cost is going to be shared. So what would happen? The Islamic bank would not be having this problem that it would be sharing at net profit level, and net profit level can be positive, can be negative, but there is no company which is operating and which would have a negative gross profit. So most companies would have a positive operating profit, and all companies would have positive gross profit. So in running Musharaka, first of all, they reduce the risk by deciding that which cost heads are going to be shared between bank and the client and which would not be shared. Another thing that they did was that they came up with tier-based profit sharing ratio. So they had a target profit rate in mind, and they made tier-based profit sharing ratio. So in the first year, most of the profit is going to go to the Islamic bank. And when the profit falls in the second year, most of the profit will go to the client. So this way, Islamic bank would be able to achieve the minimum target return that it wanted to have. And the client would also not be paying Islamic bank more than what it would pay to the conventional bank. So this product became very, very attractive to the clients, because clients require financing for all sorts of needs. So if we say that we only provide murabaha financing from which you can buy a particular asset, clients would say that we need money to pay wages, to pay utility bills, to pay our existing liabilities, to pay to our suppliers. So not all the times we are requiring an asset, not all the times we are expanding. So that is why running Musharaka became very successful, because in equity financing, when you get investment in the form of equity, you can use it the way you like. You can use it any way you like. So it's a more flexible mode of financing. And because of these two features that share some cost heads between bank and client and not all, the risk got minimized. And by sharing profit in tier-based profit sharing ratio, the commercial displacement risk was also minimized, that Islamic Bank would get its target profit return, and the client would also not be paying more than what it would to the conventional bank. So that was the scenario in Pakistan. Yes. Any other? Maybe speaker. Can you open the speaker?
Okay, sorry. Thank you, bro. You mean that Musyarakah will reduce the risk for the Islamic banking transaction, right? So it's another question from Al-Mawardi. Is in all Pakistan banking use both Musyarakah and Mudharabah system?
Yes. So if let's say the question is about their use in financing side operations, then the answer is that yes, Musharaka is used, but in a modified form. So they call it running Musharaka, where they agree that certain costs are going to be shared in this Musharaka and certain costs are not going to be shared. So when you are deducting from the revenues the cost, you cannot deduct all sorts of costs, only particular cost to which we agree, the client and bank agree. So this way they minimize the risk of loss, and then through profit sharing on tier-based profit sharing, they were able to basically minimize the commercial displacement risk. So Musharaka through these modifications is being used in Pakistan, running Musharaka as well as diminishing Musharaka, which is another form of Musharaka, but little bit different from pure Musharaka, which is equity financing contract. But when it comes to Mudaraba's use is very limited, very limited. It is used only among the financial institutions. So financial institutions know each other, and they know that they are having enough liquidity and they are not going anywhere. So one bank knows the other bank is not going to go anywhere. So they have trust among them. So in money market investments, Mudaraba is used between financial institutions when they want to manage their liquidity. Let's say one bank has surplus liquidity, another bank has shortage of liquidity. So they sell and buy each other's asset portfolio, and then they earn the return based on that asset portfolio based on Mudaraba contract. But when it comes to financing corporations, when it comes to financing SMEs, the use of Mudaraba is very much limited. For the reason that in Mudaraba, the rule is that all financial loss has to be borne by the Rabul Mal. So if Islamic Bank becomes Rabul Mal, then basically it has to bear all the financial loss. It has the risk of bearing all the financial loss, and the client to which financing is provided does not have any commitment to basically share in loss. So in that case, Islamic Bank would feel that it is at a disadvantage, and because it is serving a client base which is risk averse, the depositors are not coming to Islamic Bank only for profit; they are coming for safety of capital first of all, and then profit is a secondary concern. So they would like Islamic banks to operate in a way and use those contracts which are much less risky, which would ensure capital protection with some stable returns. So Musharaka is used with certain modifications, but Mudaraba is not used.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you very much for your sharing. As a token, our appreciation to for your time and your valuable contribution. May Allah bless you. Jazakumullah khairan kasiran.
Ya,
See you.
ya, terima kasih. Jumpa lagi.
Jumpa lagi. Okay, I will share to you all, to the all participants and speaker, at least our sponsorship. That our sponsor is from Pegadaian, BBO, Ines Kosmetik, Bank Mega Syariah, Dompet Duafa, ACT, Bank BTN Syariah, Inisiatif Zakat Indonesia, BMT Hidayatullah, Hijrah Bank, Ideas. And our media partner is HMPS Perbankan Syariah, Event Jakarta, Event Nasional, Infokopedia, Info Lomba, Kampus Update, Acara Kampus, and Enjoy Tasik. So, we will continue the third speaker. The third speaker, may I briefly introduce to you our guest speaker, Ibu Arum Maharani. She used to be assistant manager in Pegadaian. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Ibu Arum to speak on the theme of the gold investment during COVID-19. Time is yours, Ibu.
Halo, thank you, Mrs. Rahmawati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I'm Arum Maharani from Pegadaian. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. Let me sharing you guys about gold investment during COVID-19, especially for millennials. I'll bring these topics in Indonesian. Bu Rahmawati, so hope you guys enjoy. Saya izin ya Bu untuk menyampaikan ke teman-teman.
Oke, silakan.
Boleh langsung di-share teman-teman. Oke, mungkin langsung ke slide pertama aja. Nah, ya. Oke, bisa di slideshow. Oke, I'll bring these topics about kelola uang cerdas, gapai momen emas untuk teman-teman milenial. Kali ini topik saya bawakan dalam bahasa Indonesia gitu ya. Mungkin tadi teman-teman sudah banyak menerima informasi tentang gimana sih perekonomian kita secara internasional dan juga udah banyak informasi-informasi yang didapat. Nah, pengen sharing aja ke teman-teman di sini untuk nggak melewatkan nih momen-momen emas di hidup kita, terutama teman-teman di sini banyak yang baru memulai nih, mungkin ada teman-teman di sini yang baru mendapatkan penghasilan tambahan atau yang di sini udah mempunyai gambaran atau proyeksi ingin menjadi apa. Saya pengen sharing-sharing ke teman-teman gimana sih caranya kita mengelola keuangan, nggak hanya secara tepat ya, tapi secara cerdas. Next. Nah, ini pertama-tama langsung kita sajikan survei Indonesian Millennial Report 2019 yang dirilis oleh IDN Research Institute. Ini kemana aja sih kebiasaan spending milenial? Itu ternyata dibagi ke 9 kantong. Yang pertama itu ada kebutuhan keluarga, tabungan, hiburan atau entertainment, asuransi, internet, telepon, penyisihan untuk amal, zakat atau sumbangan, cicilan hutang dan juga investasi. Kalau dilihat dari data survei yang di layar nih, ternyata hanya 10,7% dari pendapatan yang ditabung nih oleh kita kaum milenial, dan sedihnya hanya 2% untuk berinvestasi. Sisanya bisa dilihat dari tabel-tabel tersebut, misalnya untuk kebutuhan keluarga atau misalnya untuk kebutuhan diri sendiri, hiburan atau entertainment, misalnya nih langganan Netflix, langganan Spotify, gitu-gitu ya. Jadi berdasarkan data ini nih kita mulai yuk kita bedah nih di mana sih yang salah atau gimana sih yang kurang gitu-gitu ya. Next, selanjutnya. Nah, kadang nih kalau misalnya uang uang tabungan udah habis akhir bulan, atau di sini mungkin ada teman-teman yang sudah bekerja, Bapak Ibu dosen gitu ya, di tanggal-tanggal tua kadang berpikir kemana ya uang-uang itu gitu, kemana sih sebenarnya pendapatan yang udah diterima gitu, kok tahu-tahu hilang, kok tahu-tahu nggak merasakan manfaatnya. Nah, ternyata itu bisa jadi sebagai sebuah jebakan finansial, terutama untuk teman-teman yang milenial nih, mungkin nggak asing lagi sama istilah ini, ada FOMO atau fear of missing out, dan juga YOLO, misalnya YOLO lah kita beli ini gitu ya, you only live once, yang memicu impulsive spending. Jadi kekhawatiran atau kecemasan kita karena kita tidak bisa mengikuti tren kayak gitu. Nah, berdasarkan dari kebiasaan-kebiasaan FOMO, YOLO yang memicu impulsive spending ini, menjadikan apa ya, kita itu sebagai pribadi yang lebih menyukai experience spending yang konsumtif ketimbang investasi. Dan juga karena kita mikir, aduh kita hidup cuma sekali gitu ya, kita jadi tidak takut berutang. Contohnya misalnya kita berutang untuk pemenuhan kebutuhan tersier. Kita mikirnya kita harus jalan-jalan atau harus misalnya holiday, tapi untuk biaya semua itu kita dapatkan dari berhutang. Nah, itu salah satu jebakan finansial juga. Yang keempat, cenderung menunda kebutuhan primer, dan juga tadi nggak takut berhutang untuk memenuhi kebutuhan tersier tadi. Dari data itu kita simpulkan bahwa sebanyak 20% milenial ini tidak memiliki investasi apapun, dan juga sebanyak 64,9%, hampir 65% milenial belum memiliki rumah. Next. Nah, untuk mengatur anggaran, gimana sih caranya untuk mencapai tujuan-tujuan? Misalnya nih, kita yang masih muda-muda ini punya mimpi gitu ya, di umur berapa kita akan membeli rumah, di umur berapa kita akan membeli mobil, atau di umur berapa kita pengen beli sesuatu yang memang butuh effort atau pengorbanan. Nah, teman-teman, ini saya kasih gambaran sedikit. Jadi ada banyak ya tentang teori-teori gitu, gimana sih cara kita membagi keuangan kita. Nah, ini salah satunya mungkin bisa teman-teman resapi dan juga nanti implementasikan gitu ya. Jadi untuk kantong gitu yang benar-benar harus kita harus kita pisah-pisah gitu. Ada kita untuk berinvestasi, untuk berhutang. Jadi berhutang itu memang diperbolehkan dan nggak apa-apa selagi rasionya masih masuk akal, dan juga kita harus menyisihkan untuk dana darurat. Mungkin ini yang sering kita lupakan karena kita merasa masih muda, kita merasa masih belum belum perlu gitu dana darurat. Mungkin itu yang sering kita lupakan. Nah, berapa sih rasio yang ideal? Jadi dari data Indonesian Millennial Reports 2019 yang ada di slide kedua tadi, kebanyakan dari kita baru menyisihkan dana untuk investasi itu sebanyak 2%. Ternyata rasio yang ideal untuk investasi adalah sebesar 10% dari total penghasilan. Nah, untuk rasio berhutang, mungkin teman-teman di sini banyak yang belum melakukan, tapi kalau misalnya sudah memiliki penghasilan sendiri yang tetap, biasanya berhutang ini pasti ada di antara seluruh pengeluaran itu. Nah, ini maksimal hanya 35% dari penghasilan untuk membayar kewajiban. Nah, kalau misalnya teman-teman di sini boleh nih sekarang dipetakan gitu ya, ternyata kewajiban untuk membayar hutang atau cicilan setiap bulan itu lebih dari 35% atau enggak. Kalau sudah mencapai 35%, berarti harus hati-hati. Harus ada yang direm, karena jangan lupa ada rasio investasi yang sebesar 10% tadi. Nah, untuk rasio dana darurat itu dibedakan dari kondisi pribadi masing-masing. Kalau single sebagaimana, kalau udah married atau married dengan satu anak atau married dengan 2 anak. Nah, itu bisa dikalikan rasionya. Next. Nah, kenapa sih tadi kita udah bahas ya, ternyata dari kita baru menyisihkan penghasilan itu untuk berinvestasi hanya 2%, sedangkan untuk menabung sebesar 10,7%. Kenapa sih kita harus investasi yang mana rasionya itu hampir 10% dari total penghasilan kita gitu kan? Nah, yang pertama adalah tingkat inflasi. Tingkat inflasi ini sangat menghantui kita ya, apalagi rupiah, mata uang kita itu sangat rentan terhadap inflasi. Yang kedua, masa produktif versus masa tidak produktif. Mungkin bagi kita sekarang teman-teman milenial sedang produktif-produktifnya gitu ya, tapi kita nggak bisa terlena juga ketika nanti sudah di umur berapa sih, boleh teman-teman udah melakukan research dari sekarang, kira-kira masa tidak produktif itu dimulai dari umur berapa, dan rata-rata kita hidup itu berapa tahun. Jadi bisa dibandingkan ketika kita masa produktif harus menghasilkan pundi-pundi seberapa besar untuk nanti persiapan untuk masa tidak produktif atau masa pensiun. Yang ketiga, yang nggak kalah penting, kenapa sih kita harus investasi? Tentunya untuk memperoleh keuntungan, dan juga yang keempat untuk menjaga daya beli. Next. Nah, yuk teman-teman, aku ngajak nih untuk teman-teman di sini yang sudah mulai berinvestasi untuk memahami profil resiko setiap investasi yang dipilih. Jadi mungkin teman-teman di sini udah nggak asing lagi sama kripto, sama saham, mata uang asing, reksadana, misalnya emas dan tabungan. Jadi memang high risk, high return, low risk, low return. Tapi gimana sih caranya kita memetakan setiap profil investasi kita? Gimana caranya biar high risk tapi maksudnya high return tapi low risk gitu. Nah, tentunya dengan tingkat likuiditas yang tinggi, karena tingkat likuiditas ini juga akan memudahkan kita ketika kita membutuhkan seperti dana darurat. Nah, baik nggak sih sebenarnya kita menjadikan satu aset investasi itu sebagai dana darurat gitu ya. Mungkin akan lebih baik ketika dana darurat yang diwujudkan dalam bentuk aset investasi itu yang mempunyai tingkat likuiditas yang tinggi. Nah, kalau dilihat dari tabel di sini, seperti kripto kita lihat ya, tingkat likuiditasnya tinggi, hasilnya tinggi, tapi risikonya juga tinggi. Nah, kita petakan lagi, kalau misalnya tabungan nih, likuiditasnya tinggi, mudah dicairkan juga, tapi hasilnya cenderung negatif gitu, bahkan nggak low ya, tapi cenderung negatif, tapi resikonya di sini rendah. Tapi siapa sih yang mau gitu kita berinvestasi tapi hasilnya malah negatif? Nah, ini yang sudah dikotakin nih, kenapa sih emas gitu. Nah, bisa dilihat di sini emas itu ternyata mempunyai tingkat likuiditas yang hampir stabil gitu ya, tinggi, cenderung stabil. Nah, sehingga dia itu cocok untuk kita jadikan sebagai dana darurat. Nah, kalau misalnya nih kita bisa combine antara dana investasi kita sebagai dana darurat juga, itu tentunya akan lebih memudahkan kita dalam mengatur kondisi keuangan. Next. Nah, di sini aku ngajak nih teman-teman untuk sekarang juga ngajak nih dan mempersiapkan dana darurat sekaligus sebagai investasi. Jadi kita tuh nggak ada rasa untuk berat gitu, rasanya aduh harus mempersiapkan dana darurat padahal kita masih muda gitu. Anggap aja itu investasi yang nanti hasilnya akan kita petik di kemudian hari. Yuk alokasikan minimal 10% lah, minimal 10% dari total pendapatan kita. Meskipun kita sebagai milenial nih belum punya pendapatan, atau teman-teman di sini banyak yang masih kuliah, masih banyak yang pendapatannya masih belum pasti gitu ya. Nggak masalah, mulai aja dulu, nggak harus 10%, nanti biar kalau teman-teman sudah mempunyai pendapatan tetap, udah tahu nih alokasikannya minimal berapa persen dari pendapatan bulanan. Nah, salah satunya adalah pilihannya tadi dengan emas, karena tentunya ada beberapa faktor yang sudah saya jelaskan tadi, karena emas ini liquid, yang tingkat resikonya itu rendah gitu. Next. Nah, mengapa pilih emas? Yang pertama nih, next, ayo. Nah, kenapa sih salah satunya harus memilih emas gitu ya sebagai salah satu instrumen investasi? Yang pertama, nilai emas ini tahan terhadap inflasi. Kenapa emas tahan terhadap inflasi? Next, aku jelasin. Nah, inflasi ini membuat jumlah barang yang dibeli dengan nilai uang yang sama jauh berkurang dibandingkan sebelumnya gitu ya. Jadi dulu mungkin di tahun-tahun 90-an kita bawa uang 20.000 itu bisa dapat 3 mangkuk bakso. Sekarang tahun 2021 kita bawa uang 20.000 hanya dapat semangkuk bakso. Nah, ini kita bisa jadikan gambaran kenapa rupiah ini menurunkan daya beli sedangkan emas ini enggak. Next. Selanjutnya. Nah, ini adalah salah satu gambaran gimana sih emas ini bisa menjaga daya beli gitu ya. Ini ada sedikit perbandingan gitu ya, di mana tahun 97 dan tahun 2021 dulu motor itu satu unitnya seharga 5 juta gitu. Harga emas saat itu masih 25.000 per gram. Kalau membeli motor 5 juta dengan emas berarti membutuhkan sebanyak 200 gram emas gitu ya. Berarti perbandingannya udah jelas, satu motor sama dengan 200 gram emas karena waktu itu harga emas masih 225.000 per gram. Di tahun 2021 harga emas sudah mencapai 1 juta per gram gitu ya. Sedangkan motor dia juga naik gitu, nilainya 15 juta satu unitnya. Nah, kalau sama-sama masih memiliki 200 gram dari tahun 97 ke tahun 2021, kita konversi ya. Jadi 200 gram dikali 1 juta per gram. Nah, ada berapa juta tuh? Kalau dibagi 15 juta per unitnya, kita dapat 13 motor gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya dikonversi, satu motornya itu hanya perlu 15 gram emas. Jadi kita bisa berikan gambaran nih gimana emas ini sangat bisa menjaga daya beli barang. Next. Nah, ini tentunya saya berikan gambaran grafik harga emas. Jadi emas ini merupakan alat instrumen investasi jangka panjang gitu ya. Jadi memang nggak seperti kripto atau seperti trading yang memang bisa berubah-ubah cepat dan juga hasilnya langsung dipetik saat itu juga gitu ya. Tapi untuk emas ini kenapa tadi saya bilang dia lebih cocok untuk dana darurat dan juga salah satu instrumen investasi karena harga emas ini lumayan stabil untuk jangka panjang gitu ya. Dari tahun 2007 sampai sekarang 2021 emas masih di angka 930 hampir 1 jutaan. Jadi dulu di tahun 2007 harga emas itu masih 206.200-an lah gitu per gramnya, sedangkan di tahun 2001 harganya udah mencapai 1 jutaan. Jadi memang dia untuk jangka panjang. Next. Nah, jangan khawatir teman-teman, mungkin di sini bagi yang belum familiar tentang investasi emas, gimana ya caranya mau beli emas gitu. Gimana kalau nanti butuh penghasilan, butuh fresh money secara cepat gitu. Emas ini sekarang sudah mudah diperoleh dan dicairkan, jadi makanya salah satu dalam profil resiko investasi tadi, emas adalah salah satu aset yang mempunyai tingkat likuiditas yang tinggi karena dia ini mudah dicairkan. Next, mudah dicairkan maksudnya mudah diuangkan ya teman-teman. Nah, ini mungkin aku mau ngajak teman-teman untuk membangun kebiasaan ini gitu ya. Mungkin di sini ada yang namanya Hapsari. Jadi the power of Hapsari atau hanya perlu biasakan diri meskipun ini caranya masih kuno gitu ya. Tapi saya mau ngajak teman-teman untuk combine gitu ya. Kebiasaan kuno ini tapi diselaraskan dengan investasi zaman sekarang ibaratnya gitu. Perlu 10.000 aja per hari gitu ya. Kalau 1 tahun kekumpul berapa tuh teman-teman? Setahun ada 365 hari, berarti bisa dikonversikan tuh ada 3.650.000 gitu ya. 3.650.000 ini berarti dapat 3 gram plus karena kita asumsikan 1 gramnya itu 1 juta gitu. Jadi dapat 3 gram plus. Selama 5 tahun udah dapat berapa? Tinggal dikali ya teman-teman. Selama 10 tahun dapat berapa? Selama 15 tahun dapat berapa? Nah, bagi teman-teman di sini yang masih umur 20-an nih, 20-an 15 tahun lagi berarti masih umur 35 lah ya. Kalau 35 udah punya aset 40 gram sampai 50 gram emas, ya udah bisa dipastikan masa tuanya bisa ongkang-ongkang kaki gitu ya. Jadi yuk mulai bangun kebiasaan itu dari sekarang. Next. Nah, gimana ya caranya gitu? Karena saya bawa pegadaian gitu. Gimana sih caranya nabung emas atau cicil emas atau gimana cara mendapatkan emas di pegadaian? Saya akan jelaskan next. Nah, ini di Pegadaian itu salah satu perusahaan milik negara yang bisa memperoleh emas dengan cara cicilan gitu. Bagi teman-teman di sini yang punya penghasilan tetap, nah ini bisa nih memanfaatkan produk ini. Jadi cicil emas ini adalah pembiayaan kepemilikan emas batangan untuk masyarakat dengan beragam fitur. Jadi misalnya untuk personal bisa, untuk arisan bisa, dan juga untuk personal tapi dengan proteksi asuransi juga bisa. Nah, mungkin teman-teman di sini familiarnya dengan logam mulia yang merek Antam gitu ya. Tapi untuk di Pegadaian kami ada beberapa vendor seperti Lotus Archie, ada UBS, dan juga ada Galeri 24 yang mana itu adalah anak perusahaan. Nah, selanjutnya Nah, tapi kalau misalnya nih, Kak, aku belum punya penghasilan tetap, aku nggak mau deh punya cicilan, aku takut punya hutang ibaratnya gitu ya, karena penghasilannya belum tetap. Gimana ya caranya untuk memulai investasi emas gitu? Caranya di next slide selanjutnya. Nah, ini untuk yang simulasi cicil emas tadi ya, mungkin bagi Bapak Ibu guru dosen atau yang statusnya sudah menjadi karyawan gitu, yang sudah punya penghasilan tetap, nanti boleh tanya-tanya tentang simulasi ini. Kalau bagi teman-teman yang masih kuliah gitu ya, yang masih belum mempunyai penghasilan tetap, aku punya caranya bisa di slide selanjutnya. Nah, ini adalah salah satu benefit atau cara gitu ya, cara yang bisa teman-teman lakukan. Gimana sih caranya untuk memulai investasi emas, tapi dengan mudah gitu ya, dengan mudah, nggak perlu uang yang banyak dulu, tapi apa ya, hasilnya ini menjanjikan gitu. Ini bukan seperti trading ya teman-teman, bukan seperti trading, bukan kayak kripto, enggak. Jadi memang untuk Pegadaian Tabungan Emas ini adalah layanan penitipan saldo emas yang memudahkan masyarakat untuk berinvestasi emas. Kenapa saya bilang mudah? Karena beli emasnya itu mulai dari 0,01 gram. Kalau harga 1 juta per gramnya gitu ya, berarti 0,01 gram itu mulai dari Rp10.000 aja, teman-teman bisa membeli emas. Nah, kalau sudah punya emas gitu ya, jadi teman-teman nabung dalam bentuk rupiah, tapi nanti saldonya langsung dikonversi menjadi emas. Nah, saldo gram emas ini bisa teman-teman manfaatkan untuk apa? Misalnya pengen dicetak jadi kepingan emas batangan. Jadi misalnya mau dicetak jadi Antam, UBS, Lotus Archie, atau Galeri 24 seperti yang gambar di slide sebelumnya, itu bisa. Tapi kalau misalnya teman-teman nih tiba-tiba butuh dana segar atau fresh money. Itu gimana caranya? Itu juga bisa di buyback namanya atau dicairkan seperti itu. Nah, yang seperti ada beberapa fitur ya di sini ya, ada cetak, ada untuk gadai tabungan emas, untuk cicil perhiasan, jual emas, dan juga untuk transfer. Jadi untuk transfer ini misalnya sesama teman gitu ya punya rekening tabungan emas itu juga bisa. Jadi misalnya kalau ada yang ulang tahun nih, sekarang udah nggak zaman gitu ya transfer uang rupiah. Jadi nanti bisa transfernya dalam bentuk saldo tabungan emas. Jadi selamat ulang tahun ya, ini aku udah transfer nih saldo emas ke rekening tabungan emasmu gitu. Jadi lebih bervariasi gitu ya. Nah, terus transaksinya bisa di mana Kak? Beli emasnya bisa di mana? Transaksinya bisa dilakukan secara online. Jadi teman-teman nggak perlu khawatir, nanti bisa dilakukan lewat aplikasi namanya Pegadaian Digital, atau kalau untuk yang syariah ada namanya Pegadaian Syariah Digital. Jadi untuk nabung, untuk buyback bisa dilakukan lewat aplikasi itu. Dan juga bisa dilakukan selama 24 jam gitu ya, nggak harus nunggu outlet buka. Dan juga jaminan karat aslinya ini 24 karat. Selain itu fitur-fiturnya tadi yang sudah saya jelaskan. Nah, untuk teman-teman di sini yang sudah mungkin dijelaskan oleh panitia, ada fasilitas pembukaan tabungan emas. Mungkin teman-teman yang daftar di sini ada yang dimintain untuk KTP, untuk nomor handphone, itu nanti akan kita bukakan tabungan emas, karena untuk biasanya kalau misalnya pembukaan tabungan emas di outlet Pegadaian gitu ya, itu kan membutuhkan uang 60.000 gitu. Tapi untuk teman-teman di sini yang mendaftar, yang sebagai peserta dan pendaftar, itu kami bukakan secara gratis dan juga nanti kami isikan saldo sebanyak 10.000, jadi 0,01 gram gitu ya teman-teman. Jadi biar teman-teman nih semangat dulu nih untuk menabung seperti itu. Nanti bisa untuk informasi lebih lanjutnya bisa hubungi panitia gitu ya. Next. Nah, kayaknya udah di penghujung gitu ya. Jadi teman-teman, ini saya satu closing statement dari saya. Salah satu investasi yang bermanfaat adalah ilmu yang diaplikasikan, sehingga segala sesuatu apapun itu kalau hanya diucapkan dalam niat tidak akan tapi tidak berani untuk memulai gitu ya, maka akan sia-sia. Jadi, yuk teman-teman, setelah dapat ilmu ini kita aplikasikan gitu ya. Ayo mulai nabung emas bersama Pegadaian. Mungkin itu saja Ibu Rahmawati yang bisa saya sampaikan. Saya kembalikan waktu dan tempatnya. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Bu Arum ya. Thank you for your very much interesting sharing. Now jadi poinnya adalah jangan FOMO. Kalau selama ini kan FOMI ya Bu, pakai wifi you. Sekarang missing. Kalau generasi muda itu kan yang milihnya fear of missing you. Sekarang harusnya fear of missing out ya.
Iya, for missing you, betul ya Bu Rahma. Betul.
Kita buka sesi tanya jawab. Ini ada pertanyaan dari bentar. Selama ini penghasilan saya hanya sekitar 4 juta per bulan. Namun belum tanggal 20 biasanya sudah habis. Sehingga harus berhutang untuk memenuhi kebutuhan untuk biaya pendidikan anak-anak dan kebutuhan pokok. Menurut Ibu, gimana cara mengelola dengan penghasilan yang rendah seperti itu sehingga bisa berinvestasi meskipun hanya sedikit-sedikit? Silakan Ibu. Di mute Ibu di mute.
Nah, oke Bu, tadi nggak bisa unmute sendiri. Oke Bu Rahmawati, mungkin ini banyak teman-teman di sini yang kadang berkecil hati gitu ya Bu. Kak, saya gajinya di bawah UMR atau saya gajinya UMR, gimana untuk kebutuhan sehari-hari aja mepet gitu ya, gimana bisa berinvestasi seperti itu. Nah, mungkin dengan Ibu siapa tadi Bu Rahmawati boleh disampaikan?
Sebentar.
Ya.
Almawardi.